Today I will talk about 3 different AI tools that every business should implement into their processes. And the first one is also the easiest one, namely LLMs. Nearly every business is already using them, and these large language models like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, or DeepSeek AI are super helpful and super cheap to use. The good thing about them is also that there are so many competitors on the market. That's why everyone is improving rapidly, providing new versions of their LLM and also making it cheaper than ever before. For example, DeepSeek, once that came out, it was like mind-blowing how cheap that was compared to ChatGPT and Claude from Anthropic. Of course, this also gives us the opportunity to select the LLM that fits our needs best. For example, if we're looking for cheap solutions, we might have to go with DeepSeek. If we want good text processing, if we want good language, we should probably go with Claude. If we want easy implementation and lots of tutorials all over the web, then we should probably go with OpenAI's ChatGPT, which is also the one that most people are most familiar with. As I told you, these tools are basically free to use. So you can go on the web and just type in ChatGPT, create an account, and then use ChatGPT for free. Of course, you could also pay for that, but I wouldn't recommend this. It doesn't necessarily do you any favor to pay 20 bucks a month, or I think 200 bucks a month on OpenAI to get the newest model if you could just use the older one, which is just a little bit worse. And at the end, it's not going to cost you a single cent. But of course, if we want to scale AI, it gets a little more expensive, but still incredibly cheap, because these input tokens that we have to use for API calls on AI are still incredibly cheap. Like, for example, 1 million input tokens on DeepSeek might just cost a few cents. On OpenAI, they're going to be a little more expensive, and I think on Anthropic around $2 to $3 for 1 million input tokens, depending on the model that you choose to use. But how exactly should you use these LLMs in your business? Well, you could, for example, use them for brainstorming. So you think, you just brainstorm, and then whenever you have an idea, you put that into the AI, and the AI will then help you structure that idea and just put new points on top, maybe provide a new perspective. So it's like always having a business partner on your side that can give you a second perspective and a second opinion, and maybe will provide valuable information. Also, these LLMs are, of course, very, very good in semi-automating repetitive tasks like sales, like customer support. Of course, you could also use them for content creation, for example, for writing you blog posts. You could use them to write emails for you, but really just semi-automatic. We're going to get to another tool later that will help you 100% automate these tasks. But if you just use normal LLMs, then that will still be super helpful, and they will still help you save a lot of time, because LLMs are really, really good at writing, usually, at least some models, especially Claude from Anthropic. I, for example, use ChatGPT to create content, so I use it to write my YouTube scripts, or at least help me with that. I use it to sometimes write content for X, and I, of course, also use it to help me with sales. So I let it write my outreach emails, I let it personalize them, and it's just very good. For example, if you have one version of an email, but you don't want to get blocked by Gmail or something, then you just put that email into an LLM and tell it, then you just put that email into an LLM and tell it to create you 10 different versions of that one particular email. So you can always send a different email that will always have the same information in it, but you will not get blocked by, say, for example, Gmail or whatever mail message you use. The second tool that I have on my list is Notion AI. So everybody should know Notion, at least the business owners, because Notion is just a really good tool for planning, for knowing what's up next, for scheduling your tasks, and at the end of the day, it's also a really good interface that lets you use certain visuals to make the tasks more appealing and have a better overview over everything that you have to do. And for some time now, Notion also has an AI called Notion AI that costs a few bucks every single month. So you usually get that AI if you have the right subscription on Notion, which the AI will then be part of. And that AI can be pretty helpful with some tasks that can otherwise take you hours and hours to do. Notion AI is great for example, summarizing emails, summarizing meetings, and also keeping track of your tasks because it can recommend tasks to you and manage your to-do list based on when the to-do will have to be done. It's of course also able to optimize and write text for, let's say, for example, an email that you want to write to a customer or to a business partner of yours, and then you just tell the AI to look over the email and make it more appealing for them. It can also help you with knowledge management. So it's very good at, let's say, for example, handle your business documentation or help you with brainstorming and finding new tasks that you have to do. And all of that just as LLMs, but in a much more natural and good environment for us to work in because there are a lot more colors and a lot more visuals integrated. This way, the Notion AI can really help you to stay more organized, and it's also designed for teams. So you could use that with your team, and everyone could use the AI and use the AI really as a team member integrated into your business, which is not really possible with LLMs because they're just every single employee would have to use the LLM themselves. But with Notion AI, as I said, the entire Notion interface allows you to really much rather use it as an advisor for your team. So the last tool that you've all been waiting for are no-code and low-code platforms like n8n, make.com or Zapier. These are not AI in particular, but they can really help you automate 100% of your business by acting like a glue. So they will glue different tools together and you can use them to integrate the LLMs and, for example, also Notion AI within your business process and automating it 100% without ever having to do anything within that process ever again. So because if we would use LLMs normally, you would always have to ask them something and then give them the email text and then they return you the email. But with these no code and low code tools, you could easily just set the tool up once and then every single time you simply have a new email, you put that into, let's say, for example, email, and it will then automatically rewrite that email for you without you having to interact with the AI at all. You could of course also do all of that with coding, but let's be honest, nobody knows how to code if you're not a developer. And it's also just much more fun because there are lots of colors integrated. It's really visually pleasing, all of these tools, at least the ones that I've tried, which are n8n and make.com, and they're very easy and beginner friendly. You could use it, for example, to automate your marketing. So you could basically just give it a bunch of business websites and it would then scrape those websites for information and write a personalized outreach message with the information from that website for that person, and it could then also automatically send the outreach message. It could then also automate follow-up. So for example, another message to send to the person, which could help you really 100% automate that part of your business. Another part of your business which has a lot of automation potential is your content creation. So you could use these tools to automate 100% of your content creation, from brainstorming the content to writing scripts to then making short videos with the help of certain AI tools. Or you could also just write messages, for example, for X and then automatically post them. And that could really be a huge part and save us a lot of time in our everyday lives. A huge part in especially n8n are so-called AI agents, which will integrate an LLM into that agent, and then that AI agent is able to make decisions based on the prompt you give it. So it can really act like a human employee, which is a huge potential compared to normal LLMs and also the Notion AI. These tools basically go from $0 to multiple $100s a month. They're usually not as expensive, especially if you only start testing them out. And of course, if you then want to use that for your business to scale your entire business and to automate your entire business, it can get a bit more expensive. But still, if you 100% automate parts of your business, then 100 or 200 bucks a month are not going to be much for you. The best part about this is that you can literally 100% automate parts of your business, opposing to normal LLMs, which will always have you as part of the automation because you will always have to interact with the AI. These workflows that you build on these automation tools will let you automate your business 100% without ever having to touch that part again. And that's already the video. Those were the 3 tools that every business should use, in my opinion, to automate their workflow. Now, if you decide to try any of these tools out, let me know below how it worked out for you. And of course, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.